Good evening. I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the Hastings-on-Hudson Board of Education for August 26, 2025. I'm not really going to do an update, so if you're ready, we can just go to the superintendent report. We're going to hear from Dr. McCursey first.
And for those of you following along on the agenda, we have for this year added in something up top called the BOE President Update. It'll be there every meeting. The President will use it as needed, and right away passed it to me for the superintendent update. And often we have things in writing. I'll be verbal. I will follow up with a few things out to the entire village and the staff and all the rest afterwards. So handed out for some of you, Rob, do you want to pass around that document to the two audience? They already, wow, so you're on it. Good job, Rob. That's why Rob and I, by the way, I'm so honored. Do you mind if I say that you've asked me to mentor you, and I am doing that? No. So I felt complimented when you said, please do that. So I'm trying to earn that right as we move forward. You have in front of you what I'm calling the Hastings Leadership Team Priority Goals and Actions. So the leadership team saw this in an outline form. I today, for the media, actually crafted it into the 2 paragraphs. And I will share it tomorrow out with everybody. I think it's a good, solid statement with clarity on what we stand for, need to work for in this coming year. In the second paragraph, the various goals listed there, those are truly multi-year, and they very much do come from the leadership, building level, departments, and all the rest. And each of those is a core equity and access issue. And I think Hastings increasingly has to stand for what it says at the bottom here: collective commitment to equity, excellence, and the success of every student. And these 5 goals speak to that, because if we're not strong on literacy, and we are very good on literacy, we have to get that much better. And Amy Kazis in Hillside sees that. Math, we have a climb in math, but we're ready for that climb. But if we're not strong in literacy or math in a very broad way, understanding the data on performance for students, those are fundamental equity and access issues. Grading practices. This is something the high school under Andy Clayman has recognized as a set of work this year and in multiple years, and that will also relate to FMS. But that is fundamentally a content core issue and also an access and equity issue. Special ed programming and supports is a district-wide priority. Gene Frigio will be introducing some ideas later in the meeting. But this is a district-wide priority for multiple years, past, and we're going to double down, triple down on that. And then lastly, in June, the village passed a 3-proposition bond for us. We'll be very busy the next several years keeping that moving. If all goes well, by next fall, Prop 3, the field part, will come to fruition for our students, but we will be regularly updating the board on this. So here it is. You can read it. I did just highlight key aspects of it, but that comes from our leadership on behalf of all of our students. Let me highlight just a couple other things. Put out for everybody that we are, per the state, embarking on distraction-free schools. We've adopted that phrase, and I don't like acronyms, but I have an acronyms for it, DFS, since getting 3 words out of my mouth in some kind of coherent way is a little difficult. But I actually feel very, very good, thanks to the leadership of the high school, thanks to the leadership of FMS, that we're in a good place on this. But I'm stressing we've got to be patient with each other. We have, about 1,500 pouches have arrived, maybe 1,200 pouches. We'll have this whole system and approach for that. Some communication has gone out. Very detailed communication will be coming out from FMS in the high school. Hillside, we have not been allowing any personal devices, and that will continue. So it's an easier lift here in Hillside. But at the middle school and high school, it will be a challenge. What I've been stressing, though, it is the right challenge. It's the right challenge. And this is actually a law, and the strictness of the law I think is helpful, because we just need to focus on helping our students focus on teaching and learning, focus on each other, without a device or something else in the way. So I think there's a lot of good in this law, and I like to not talk about a law, but just good, smart time for us here in Hastings. And I hope if we're patient with each other, we will make this work. Later in the meeting, Melissa Szymanski will speak to you about some important issues that relate to a Supreme Court ruling in the spring. Also will update us on the leadership team and their work. So those are really the main highlights right now. Last thing, the letter that went out yesterday to all families, or was it today? I've lost track. It went out this morning. We stressed how we handle inclement weather decisions. Please read that. Look at that. That's really who to contact when. Several years ago, we instituted this. We stole it from another district. I'm not telling which district, but it's actually worked very, very well in terms of reminding families when they have questions and concerns. We want to hear those, but they are best resolved as close to the student as possible. And this, starting my 5th year, I meet with groups of families when they're group-level concerns, but so far families and staff have really recognized this and stayed with it, because racing to the superintendent basically gets you nowhere. Because if I get involved, I'm not really being helpful. At that key individual student level, that's with your teacher, your coach, your counselor, that's where you want to resolve it. So this is what we have here. A little later, Ms. Frigio is going to stress with some of the changes in staffing how we are really going to make sure for families they know who to go to. We're going to do that verbally tonight, and then we're going to be repeating that out in writing. So that is my update right now. I hope it helps. I don't know if there are questions on this at this point from the board for anything that I've tried to give you a little update on.
Dr. McCursey, thank you. Any questions, comments from anyone?
I just had one question. Bill, I know you had mentioned the bell-to-bell cell phone ban, which I can speak for myself. I'm really excited about that, and I'm really pumped that we're going to allow that. I had one question. I don't know if I can ask this now or I should ask this later, just around just access to technology. I know this was something that we had spoken about last year. Specifically, my child was at FMS, and I know that there was discussion around just access to social media on the school-issued Chromebooks and some of the solutions that we were looking to solve around that. And I was curious if that has made any progress in addition to the bell-to-bell ban.
We have. I think the distraction-free school is about not just mobile phones. It's about any personal device that's linked to the internet. So we have said that personal laptops and whatever cannot come into the school. So we're going to go with district-provided devices. For the middle school, two steps here. For the middle school, we are going to stay with the one-to-one for this year. But Dan, Mr. Waldick, and Lauren Iorio want to evaluate that. But there's so many moving parts right now. That's one moving part they'd rather just keep still. But quite importantly, we're going to make the cafeteria a Chrome-free place promptly. So we're going to make it a Chrome-free environment promptly. It's now a laugh line, at least internally. I'm in that cafeteria a lot. But Dan and I were there a lot this last year in his assistant principal role, and he and I were both looking. It was just too prevalent, too much. And I know some students are using it as a way to look at something and talk, interact. A lot of students, it's this. So we're going to make it pretty soon, signs up and hold people to it. And Mr. Waldick and Ms. Iorio have already gotten on the same page on that, and they're going to make that happen starting with our middle schoolers.
And I can also add that our technology committee will continue to convene at the district level, and a survey went out at the end of last school year through the parent portal. Actually, I think we pushed it as a form. We ended up pushing it because of integration. So we are working on taking a closer look at instructional practices around use of technology and some of the roadblocks, and also looking at policies/protocols. And there's a lot of interest in understanding community perception and also thinking about what's happening internally. So we have a lot of faculty sitting on that committee as well. So we're continuing to work on all of that.
Thank
and
you.
students, yeah, key stakeholders.
Yeah. And that's a good. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I think it's a good point that the bulk of the law came down from New York State. There is there are details that are still to be worked out via policy and via the technology committee. So that will be an evolving arena. Jody?
No, I was just going to say, I think, Melissa, there was also some concern raised about the school Chromebooks.
Yeah. Can you go into the microphone? Sorry.
Can you hear me now? No?
Are the microphones on, Patrick?
It's because
mine
the
is.
AC. It's the AC. That's,
No,
you might be able to make these louder. One sec.
I don't think this will help.
that was better. That
Better?
was better.
Yeah, just start talking. He'll turn it up.
I was just going to say, Melissa, that I...
You had to go.
Yeah, really get in there.
Maybe try the other one.
Is this better?
Yes.
I just wanted to tell you that I think there was also some concern, so that I think just to put it on your radar, about school Chromebooks, so that it looks like it's just a school Chromebook, but students having... I'm sorry?
It's going to the mic.
So some concern about school Chromebooks, and even though it's a school Chromebook, but students having access and finding ways to work around in terms of social media, etc.
Yeah, I won't speak for you, but I feel like one of the things we need to address in policy and the technology committee is exactly that. Like when we're aware of sort of the leaks in the sieve, policy-wise, how do we patch those things? How do we pay attention? How do we check? How do we verify? Things like that. So is that fair to say? Yeah. Okay. Dr. McCarthy, thank you very much. We're going to move on to a report from our business official, Maureen Caraballo. Of course, things don't stop during the summer, and
Yep.
here, one of the most important things was the construction of the renovating Farragut wing, and as well, I believe some financial highlights from stuff that happened over the summer.
Yes. So I'll start with the Farragut wing. I'll jump to that. The work is and has been well underway. I mean, the large part that concluded in the spring of last year was the demolition of the existing building, and then from that point on, we went through a permitting process with New York State. Over the summer, although some may look and walk past the building and think, there's not a lot going on, primarily because they may not see walls, but there is, in fact, a lot that has occurred. About 80% of the electrical upgrade was completed, and we don't have lights there, but the majority of the work is in the wiring and in the service and the panels and all of that work that needed to be done. The board had the opportunity to kind of do a walkthrough this evening as part of their yearly requirement. And our director, Joe DeMaterana, explained that the wiring for that building was about 6 miles of actual cabling that went into that space. So again, that's a very large undertaking. That work began sometime at the end of June, and as I mentioned, it's about 80% done in terms of rough electric, with, again, the lighting. The actual fixtures will be put at a later point in the construction. The other major component of the work was the fire suppression system that existed. The demolition of that, which was a separate job, has been completed. All the equipment and things in the design of that's well underway. Our HVAC, which is the upgrade solar ventilation system, is well underway. We anticipate having full crews starting in September to get that work done. And a lot of it, there's times in which you may not see as many people mobilized, but some of that is due to either equipment and things such as that, lead times on that. And then once they do have that and they're able to mobilize, there will be times similar to the demolition, there could be upwards to 60 or 100 people working. So again, there has been a lot of work going on in that area of the building. We also kind of went through the current setup for the reopening of school, and we were able to highlight to the board where the Farragut gym now has been reopened, and it is going to serve as some classroom spaces and things like that. So again, that was within the wing, but it was a space that wasn't impacted and was deemed to be operational for classroom space. As far as the bond, the update there is that next week we are going to open our bids for the construction manager, which is a key part of the our schedule for our bond work, as we need to get them on board to assist with the first pricing and to help ensure that the designs and the pricing, as the design continues to evolve, having a construction manager who really has the expertise to ensure that what is being designed, what is being presented to the board, and the refinement of those designs reflects the budget in which we have with this bond. So that's really a key component. So we would anticipate at our next board meeting bringing those contracts for, or the recommendation to the board. And then lastly, we have been working with land and LA groups actively. And just to remind you, the LA group is really primarily the group that is working on the fields. And I just want to state that although they're doing work, that does not mean that we, as we've spoken about pre-bond, we anticipate to have community involvement and be bringing together stakeholders to help us in terms of what is being spec'd out for the fields, in terms of materials, in terms of all that we spoke about pre-bond. So just to reassure people that although the designs and the schedule continues to evolve and all that in terms of the actual materials and what will be put into our bid specifications, there is going to be an opportunity for board members, community members, and other stakeholders to be involved as we develop that bid specification. But really what we're focusing on is more heights and design of where the fields are going to be, the required seating, and all the kind of handicap accessibility and things of that nature that are really just more about the layout rather than the material. So we are well underway with that, and we anticipate in the fall coming together and assembling a group to work together as that evolves. And then the lastly, we did have our audit performed over the summer. The audit, our auditors will be here at the first meeting of October to present, and we did have what I think is a very successful audit. That's based upon not what they told us, to be presented. And then at the next meeting, I know, Bill, we didn't present it, we didn't put it in a form for tonight, but as far as enrollment, we continue to have children enroll as of even today. We had families coming in, and you can speak more specifically about it, but interesting enough, although there's been some shifts at different grade levels, our enrollment projections that we had as part of our budget are pretty much bearing out. We're anticipating about 1610, and again, that number is evolving. I mean, yes, are there occasionally some children that, unbeknownst to us, or have moved, but right now, based upon, we're seeing different, like I think the 7th grade, believe it or not, had a bit of an uptick in enrollment. When I say uptick, like 8 or 9 students, which again, at that grade level, is significant. So, we are bearing out at that middle school our concerns about class sizes there. And based upon what was recommended with the budget in terms of the increase of sections and teachers at the middle school level, again, just 8, 9 students at the 7th grade is still impactful in terms of class sizes. So I just wanted to, Bill, I'm sorry if I stole your thunder on that.
No, you actually filled in because I meant to, So I'll share with the board and what the particulars are. Each of the last summers I've been sharing that, but since it was quite stable, we just wanted to present. We projected, last year we were at 1610, right now we're at 1604 with 10 pending, so we could easily get up to 1614. A few of the grades are down a bit, but others are up quite markedly. So you know math as well as I do. It's kind of how it sums out. But we always look at this in terms of the planning of the sections. We're in good shape. We had made a pretty significant decision where I got very, very active involved related to the Algebra 1 sections in 8th grade. So we actually shifted that so we'd have, Melissa, 4 Algebra 1s and then 2 standard 8th grade math, which enabled us to recognize a broader range of students and their potential. And it also meant the class sizes were about 21 each. So we really thank the counseling. Dan Waldick was all over this, by the way. He's a math guy, and Lauren is a math person as well. So we're in an area of real
Jocelyn
priority.
Perez did an amazing job.
Thank you.
She's been
I was about to go
phenomenal.
there. Jocelyn Perez spent intense time.
And Brittany's still heavily involved.
See, I'm nothing without a team. So the key is they stepped up. I actually got top down. I said, this is happening. I don't want scheduling to get in the way, and they made it happen. So that was really, really good. But anyway, the simple point on enrollment, that's a little example, is it's stable. And we're one of the few districts that does have stable enrollment. Most are dropping.
Yeah.
We've actually increased, I mean, even though it's sometimes a slight increase, we have been
Yeah.
seeing increases. And then, obviously, as we're registering, there's different, different profiles of students. So I think we'll be sharing that more broadly once we have the pending registrations. As Bill mentioned, we're actually up above our enrollment last year. We're slightly higher. And then we do also have, although they're not reflected on our enrollment chart, we do have children went out of district, but just to remind, those are still our responsibility in a lot of ways for busing and other things. So as, that also, I think it's good, we'll present the information holistically at our next meeting, just because at that point I think we'll be, these things will be finalized.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Moving on to Dr. Szymanski, same thing. Work continues over the summer. Some updates on curricular work and leadership team.
So the summer was a very busy time for us here in Hastings, and many of our teachers were hard at work. It started actually at the end of June, and then heavy work happening in July and August. Over 450 hours cumulatively were dedicated to summer work, spent developing and refining curriculum. And areas of focus included the new math enrichment course, planning the new financial literacy course, designing the 3-year science research trajectory, which is currently 2 years, focusing on MTSS, protocols, foundations, and then other content projects in ELA, math, and science. And that was district-wide. So people were very busy. Also, we recently had our summer leadership retreat, and that is a 2-day retreat. We held it last week on August 20th and August 21st. And on the first day, we did some team building together. We welcomed our new interim assistant principal, Lauren Iorio, at Farragut Middle School, and also had some opportunities to get to know each other better as a team, and also personally and professionally. So after that, we engaged in a protocol, all the administrators district-wide, to consider the challenges that we face while we're leading to support all of our learners, particularly students with IEPs and 504 plans. So that was really a key area of focus in our summer leadership retreat. And then Jean Ferrugio, to my left, our new interim assistant superintendent for PPS, then led a segment of the retreat. So we used a chalk talk protocol. So people did a lot of silent writing, asking questions, raising some systems, some structures, challenges that we have. And then Jean led us in sharing some successful models that she's familiar with throughout her educational leadership journey, systems, structures, practices, discussion around continuum of services. And then during the afternoon of the first day, the leadership team focused on MTSS, our multi-tiered system of supports protocols. We looked at what currently exists in each building. The high school's been doing some work to revise their MTSS and wanted some feedback on some of those draft revisions. So we went through a consultancy where we looked at, they presented what they were thinking about, some early thoughts on revision, and we provided some feedback. And then we also reviewed and finalized the distraction-free schools procedures, or as Bill has affectionately named it, DFS. So we did spend a bit of time just finalizing that. On the second day, we took a data dive. You may recall last year we presented on the data cycle that we want to make sure is increasingly robust in the district. So took advantage of that out of the starting gate with our leadership team. So we considered the extent to which we have a clear picture of where our learners are and any additional data that could help us. So following our exploration of the data, we then began investigating a problem of practice around grading, which Bill just highlighted earlier as a key area of district-wide focus for the coming school year. And that process included exploring disaggregated marking period final averages for students who were both proficient and also not proficient in ELA and mathematics based on the state tests, right? So taking a look at the crosswalk between those things, which raised some more questions and is leading to future work that we'll be doing as a district. Our afternoon together entailed unpacking the 3 CRSE DEI audits that I presented at the end of the school year, and outlining leadership mandates that are associated with those audits, and also identifying priority areas of focus. So that was our leadership retreat. And then I would like to provide an update on parent choice opt-out policy and procedures in the wake of the recent Supreme Court decision on Mahmoud versus Taylor. And that really focused on addressing the question of whether or not introducing certain materials into a public elementary school curriculum without first notifying parents about when they would be taught, or providing the opportunity to opt out for instruction, whether or not it violated the parent's constitutional right to the free exercise of religion. So we have some new guidance coming out of that. And so it's necessitated a shift in our approach to curricular opt-outs, again, particularly as it relates to religious objection. And this is fairly new, and there's information we're waiting on from state ed. We do have information from the Supreme Court ruling. We're working very, very closely with counsel on this to make sure that we are well positioned, to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. And parents will have the right for their children to be excused from instruction that would substantially interfere with and undermine their religious upbringing, with alternative instruction provided during the school day, which is a departure from our practice in Hastings. So again, we're working with counsel. We'll be developing policy and procedure for opting out of classes or instructional lessons on this basis. And we're also in the process of finalizing a religious objection form for parents to submit a request to be able to opt out, and each will be treated as a case-by-case basis, and there will be a careful review. The last thing that I'd like to add that I did not put in the comments is we just had our new professionals orientation, and it was fabulous. We have 20 new professionals in a variety of different roles joining our district. We have a really wonderful, strong cohort. We're very, very excited to welcome them.
That's nice. Great to hear. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Szymanski. And also over the summer, we were joined by our interim assistant superintendent for Pupil Personnel Services, Jean Ferruccio, who filled that role not as an interim in Ardsley for many years. So welcome officially to Hastings. Welcome to the table.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. When I first met with our leadership team at the annual retreat, pardon me?
Oh, maybe make it mic a little closer, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, when I met with our leadership team at our annual retreat, in my segment of the program, I started by saying that my perspective or my lens has always been that our students are first, that all students are first and foremost general education students. Some require additional levels or layers of support, of special support, in order to achieve FAPE, a free and appropriate public education. The message, I believe, I hope, was clear in that our job is to serve all of our students, meet the needs of all of our students, all of the time. They're all ours, and we share the responsibility in educating them. Throughout my career, I focused on encouraging partnerships between home, school, and community to best support our students' unique needs and to optimize student outcomes. I can share with you that I have a collaborative work style, and I look forward to cultivating many professional relationships, working in partnership with parents, faculty, staff to best meet our students' needs. Please know that my door is always open. My office is located opposite the special education office in the middle high school campus. I'm right next to personnel. Another critical belief that I hold dear is making decisions in the best interest of our students and being a strong believer in the principles of appropriate, least restrictive environment, with the goal of supporting our students to become independent, critical thinkers and problem solvers. As you know, our administrative structure changed this year. It's altered. Laura Sullivan's planned retirement, Tesfa Stewart's Stewart's unexpected resignation. My position at this point is a one-year interim position as Assistant Superintendent for Pupil Personnel Services. So in terms of the steps in planning for coverage and to ensure that we run smoothly as a team, we took the following steps. I'll be working very closely, first and foremost, with our Assistant Director of Special Education, that's Mary Angela Sanchez, who had been positioned in supporting our students down at the in this building at Hillside. We've had numerous conversations. Our vision, our goal, and our goals seem to be very closely aligned. We want to ensure a good continuation of services, special services, quality classroom instruction for all of our students, and we're looking for good outcomes for our students. Mary Angela will have a designated space in the middle school, high school campus 2 to 3 days weekly. We're also pleased that Laura Sullivan will be rejoining our team as a consultant, primarily chairing CSE meetings and assuming some other responsibilities as needed to ensure that we're compliant with state and federal mandates. The chairing of meetings is such a critical responsibility in the world of special education, and Laura has built so many strong relationships with our families over the years and is very highly skilled at running meetings, so we thought that she was a perfect choice. We're hoping also to hire another part-time special ed consultant to assist with special ed responsibilities. I can't speak highly enough about our 3 special education coordinators, Brittany Stample, Erin Dolan, and Emily Isidore. I got to meet them over the summertime, and they are absolutely wonderful to work with. Very generous with their time, very caring individuals, and I know that we'll have a very good relationship. In addition to being well connected with families, they're incredibly devoted to our students. They're highly collaborative in their approach and their problem solving. Some of their responsibilities include running meetings, department meetings, coordinating the sharing of IEPs, helping to determine case management responsibilities, coordinating testing, among many other important responsibilities. They are my direct link into the departments at each one of the buildings. Our administrative assistants also, I need to say, have been incredibly helpful. This is Teresa Terry and Alyssa Santiago. They are phenomenal. They're very skilled, and they keep our office running very smoothly. They're highly organized people. I wanted to share with you very briefly here about our department goals, and I was able to cull these 3 goals, narrow it down to these 3 goals, even though they are broad goals. After speaking with our leadership team, our departments, our special ed departments, our Board of Education, and our SEPTA, we're looking at 3 broad goals, and they include the following. One is professional development in areas of need, to keep abreast of best practices in the field of special education among our teachers, our related service providers, and administrators. They're all looking for professional development, and we want to be able to meet those needs. The second broad goal is exploring our continuum of special services, our programming. What do we offer? What are the service models that we offer? I recognize that it is indeed a challenge when you're working in a smaller district to ensure that you have the fullest continuum of services as possible, but that's something that we need to do to always meet the needs of an evolving student population. It has to be flexible, so it can't be from year to year that you just roll it over. We have to look at the individual needs and the groupings among our students, what is best for them. And then the final goal, and this is an extremely broad goal here, but we'll pinpoint certain areas and prioritize, and that includes enhancing structures and systems, looking closely at our CSE process because we want to make sure that we're always in compliance, and our 504 process, among many other processes. So that's pretty much where we are at this moment in time. I'm sure that this will evolve as time goes on, and I get to speaking with more people in our program and others, other interested parties, and having a relationship with SEPTA, who has been very, very helpful. So a shout out to you. Thank you for that.
Jean, thank you. Thank you very much.
Let me just underscore that it's only been a couple weeks with Jean here, and then Lori's here, and they've already connected deeply from the Director of School Counseling into PPS and SPED. And focus on what Jean, if I may, said in the very beginning about we're all gen ed students, and a number of our students need those additional supports and services. I think that's a very powerful concept. And I used that at the leadership team meeting, and I said there's an immediate need here, fundamentally, to do gen ed right, and then especially for our special ed students. It's about relationships. It's about a relationship between the district and the family, the student, and Laura Sullivan, to a large extent, had been key to that. Tessa Stewart had been monumental at that within the Farragut complex.
Absolutely.
I spent more time with Tessa, other than Melissa and Maureen and the principals, in the last 4 years. So I know how much that relationship piece is essential. It's also critical that Tessa spent a lot of time with Jean, and they've struck a good relationship, and I think that's going to continue as Tessa moves to the North Shore. But what we have to do immediately, this is what I said to the leadership team: eyes and ears wide open for any student with an IEP. Eyes and ears wide open to be responsive and attentive, because the job of a principal and assistant principal is all our students. And it's not just, hey, special ed, you handle it, we got this. No, 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 no. We have to get to the point where it's all woven together. And Jean set that standard in the meeting. She does it substantively, she does it stylistically, and we're going to stay after that. So most immediately, who's that case manager? Help families know that.
Yes.
Who then is the coordinator? Help families know that. How does Maria Angela Sanchez, who's an expert administrator, she came to us supervising some 60 psychologists in the DOE with great success. Amy Kazis has been very flexible to say, yes, spread your wings, get down to the Farragut complex, because any of the families up here know how essential Maria Angela Sanchez has been to here. We can broaden that out. She has immense understanding of how to work with families and to then be systematic about that. If we raced out to hire an interim to fill Tessa, we'd bring in a stranger. Instead, we've said, how do we bring people we know to this fundamental immediate relationship piece? The running of those meetings, that's some 100+ meetings. Have Laura focus there, have this other consultant to be named focus there, to let Maria Angela, Jean, the coordinators and others, and principals and assistant principals, Lori, who's already joined very actively in this, to say, how do we bring a very comprehensive, robust approach to, one, the relationships with our families most immediately and those students, but then longer term, that third goal. What are the systems and structures that for the longest time Hastings is needed? And we've got to build those out. We have to take full advantage of Jean's time with us to then get us to that next phase. I hope that's rounding out some things, but this is too big an issue for me to sit here silent, so I hope you don't mind.
Thank you.
So I'm going to chime in.
Oh, Mike.
Do I need the mic?
Do you?
I'll just stand up. No. Thank you. I so appreciated hearing your words. And Bill, I appreciated your words. I do think it's just important to emphasize as members of the board, although I'm speaking for myself here, there's so much transition this year in special education. And I think it's been a really hard year for families, seeing their transition, seeing so many familiar faces, and in some ways beloved faces and real advocates for families leave and change. And I think one of the biggest worry is like that touch point for your kid. Who do you go to when their services aren't being delivered, or a teacher is not responding as they should be? Could you just revisit in your vision what that process is? Because I think that there's a lot of people worried that their go-to is no longer here.
The superintendent touched upon that. Our students with special needs who have IEPs all are assigned case managers. And that's number one priority when they're convening tomorrow when our teachers come in Each one of the buildings will be sitting with the coordinator, one of the coordinator's responsibilities, to make determination as to who will be assigned to which students will be assigned to each teacher. And I just sent out an email to everyone tonight. I know that our coordinators are sending out emails as well, reminding teachers that a major priority is to touch base with our families to introduce themselves right up front. That's a priority, because you need to know who is the contact person for your child. Absolutely. So it's a little bit, actually a little bit different in the realm of 504, and I know that we need to take a closer look in terms of structuring the whole system. That had no longer been under the supervision of special education. This office, my office here now, and so we'll be taking a very close look at that. But in speaking with our guidance director, Lori Fiore, we talked about what that might look like, and I know that there has been a history here that the guidance counselors are the point persons, and we'll continue calling them case managers because their responsibilities will be very similar. They will not be conducting meetings, 504 meetings. We have our 2 district-wide psychologists who will be chairing those meetings, and that is Nicole Sekel and Christy Brahms. So a referral comes in to guidance, and what happens is the principal becomes involved because 504 falls under general education, right? Even though students who are designated requiring 504 services are students with disabilities, but not at the level as those students who are eligible under IDEA. Very different, very different. And the documents are very different as well. One is far more comprehensive than the other with goals and so forth. So our guidance counselors would be assuming that responsibility as the point person or the case manager. And they'll be reaching out also to parents with a really nicely developed letter, right, that we had spoken about. Each one of them will be sending that out within the first week of school, sharing that information with the respective families.
Excellent. Thank you,
Yes.
Jean.
And I'd just like to add, it goes without saying, Jean and I have been working very closely together. So that goes without saying, and so I just wanted to say it because we've been lockstep and we're neighbors in the central office as well.
That's true.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Catherine, for the question. Any other questions or comments, board members? No? Okay. We're going to move on to the presentation of the evening. This is the Future Steps presentation. This tracks where the class of 25, the recent graduates in June, their application process, which schools they chose to go to, and then at the very end, we have a long coming but a very important update to the school profile that Lori Fuero produced with Dr. Szymanski. So Lori, welcome.
Thank you.
And
sorry, my back is to you. Okay. So hi, I'm Lori Alfiero, the Director of School Counseling, for those that I don't know. I know my name was brought up several times, but hello. Okay, so this is the Class of 25 Future Steps. I'd like to acknowledge that this is an actual picture from graduation. I have to give kudos to the Guidance Secretary, Christina Caruso. She is the person who did all of the nice things on here. I just did the words, so. All right. All right. So the class of 25 was 134 seniors, and I am proud to announce that that was a 100% graduation rate among the 134 seniors. That is a district-wide achievement, but most importantly, a community-wide achievement. That doesn't happen without the people in this room and all of the parents, so thank you for that. So the diploma types, 131 received a Regents diploma and 3 received a local diploma. 4 of our students who attended the BOCES Tech Center also paired their diploma with a CDOS credential, and all 4 also received a technical endorsement. What that means is that they were honored at the Tech Center as being high achieving. They also passed all of their technical endorsement exams and completed a packet of hours that say that they are ready to work in that field. So that's a high achievement. 14 of our students also received a seal of biliteracy. The scholarships, we had 3 National Merit Scholarship finalists, 46 local scholarships were awarded, and about 30% of our students received a college academic scholarship from where they are attending. Now that is an estimated number because we did not receive information from every student, but broadly it was about 30%. Okay. And 4 students are going on to athletic commitments, 1 at D1, 1 at D2, and 2 at D3. And the D1 student and the D2 student did also get athletic endorsements, scholarships, excuse me. Okay. I'm working on 2 things here. All right, so types of schools that our students are attending. So in the 4-year realm, students who are attending the 4 years, there are 21 students who are going public and state. In 2024, there were 25, so that number went down slightly. There are 26 students who are attending private in-state, went down from 35 from 2024. We'll talk a little bit about the projections as to why. The public out-of-state, 27 students, and that's an increase from 17 and 24. Private out-of-state, 45 students, state about the same with 48 and 24. And non-U.S. institutions, 5 of our students, that's a one-person increase. There are 7 students who are attending a 2-year school, public in-state. We have 2 students who are going to be employed, and about 4 students, who are doing a gap year. Now, the students who are doing a gap year, this is reflected in these numbers because many of them are going on to college after their gap year, just so that we understand. Yeah. And all 4 of those students will be attending a 4-year public in-state and deferred for this year. Most of their reasons were taking a break, growing, traveling. Sounds good, right? Okay. Okay, so applications submitted, 24 versus 25. So as you see in 2024, applied students for ED1 is 55, accepted were 31. ED2 was 13 and accepted were 6. And EA is 97, accepted were 91. This includes ED1 and ED2 students. So EA is a combination of those numbers. I'm going to take this out. There we go. All right, in 2025, the number stayed about the same, a little bit less, but ED was 47 with 22 accepted, ED2 was 9 with 3 accepted, and EA was 106, again including ED2, with 91 accepted. So ED, where schools were denied, we got a comprehensive list, and some of those schools included Amherst, Boston, Brown, SUNY Maritime, Wake Forest, University of Pennsylvania. And there was no real reason for that. It just seemed that those schools were doing more of a rolling admissions in this year. Okay, so the total number of applications. We processed 100 more applications this school year, as you can see. So in 2003, 1,560. In 2024, 1,592, and in 2005, 1,467. I felt it necessary this year to point out that 249 of those were withdrawn. And I have a little note on the side that they were withdrawn simply because they changed their mind or they got accepted ED1, ED2, and decided to take their application, their hat out of the ring. So I think that's an important note, especially when we're noting that 100 more applications were processed. This is a nice visual that shows you where our students are going across the United States and abroad, if you see in the corner. It's just a way for us to see that Hastings is touching the entire United States, and that's a good thing. A lot of students do tend to stay in the Northeast area, but this is just a nice little representation of where they're going. Because this is easier to read, we put also attending colleges, the list of 2025 with 85 total colleges. The number in parentheses is the number of students attending that college from the class of 2025. So here's a snapshot, and this is something new, and this is not representative of all the students. There's 108 of our 134 students represented here. This is something we will hope to get full participation in this coming year. But it's a snapshot of what our students are studying when they go to college. Some of the college majors, some are more popular. Again, the ones in parentheses are the number of students. So you can see there's 16 undecided. You know, we hope to, in this school year, to really focus on career development and career exploration so that students have a better sense of what they want to study when they are applying to college next year. So, some takeaways. Admission landscape for colleges has changed. They're more competitive and they're unpredictable, especially with test optional trends continuing. Many colleges will remain this way. I've sat in on a lot of meetings with liberal arts colleges, and there's back and forth as to what they're doing. It does seem like that pendulum will swing, and they will start to want students to test again. So the more popular majors, however, do still look for tests, and those are the medical field, the nursing field, engineering, business, and finance. They seem to be requiring tests again, and are a little bit ahead of the other colleges in that. Holistically, with test scores being optional, they are looking at other things. Essays, extracurricular, carry more weight. And students are started to be expected to know how to do AI and to add more technology to their applications. So that's something that we, as a department, will start to teach ourselves, and that's part of professional development for us. So as it says, the department focus is to help students to build a more well-rounded profile. Counselors will stay updated as the policies set forth by the institutions. In September, we've arranged for an outside company to do a mock SAT and ACT for our sophomores and juniors, and that's in anticipation of the reinstatement of tests. So that's Saturday, the 20th of September and the 26th of September, and Jumpstart has been a great partner in that. One of the other things we're seeing is the rising cost and the financial aid complexity. Financial aid has had a complete overhaul, and a lot of updates and changes are coming. Tuition continues to be unaffordable for some. One of the department focuses this year is we will be having on November 3rd a financial aid presentation from SUNY Westchester Community College. A financial aid rep will be doing a virtual presentation, for our juniors and seniors and their families. He's also going to be available for individual questions, so personal level questions. So hopefully that will help, and that'll keep us abreast of the changes in financial aid. Scholarships also have become more competitive, where students are seeking outside scholarships more aggressively. Alternative pathways is something that is up and coming, as we know, especially with the changes in graduation requirements. We're looking at different things. So vocational schools, community colleges, and gap years are becoming a little bit more popular for students. So we'll be supporting and focusing on all post-secondary paths. One thing that Jean and I have talked about in our brief time together is educating the counseling department as well as our special ed educators on the different pathways and ways that students can utilize their skills to get out of high school. Technology and mental health is a dual front. We'll be more proactive in discussing digital habits, and that's part of this band with cell phones and keeping insightful on social media. as it does have effect on students' mental health. So we're going to also look into teaching coping skills alongside with our academic prep, and we'll have several push-ins this school year as a counseling department. Okay, so it's kind of like a little wrap-up of what I already talked about. The counseling department is going to stay informed. We're going to personalize our guidance. We're going to do some career integration and professional development for all of us. So on the horizon also is something that Melissa and I have talked about, and it's a way for us to get more data on our students who are exiting high school. So I've started developing, and this will be a collaborative approach, a survey for those who have graduated. And what we want to know is what are they doing, right? What are they doing in their post-secondary enrollment? Have they stayed in their school? Did they have trouble in school? Are they working? What type of work? Those who have IEPs and 504s, have they participated in adult services that are available outside to them? Are they satisfied with how they were prepared from high school? And any barriers they may have focused. So this is hopefully going to come at the end of next school year. There'll be information and communication around this as well throughout the year. Long awaited, I hear. So I'm going to just pause here for a moment if anyone has any questions on the future steps before I get into the profile.
Any questions or comments? Catherine.
This has been fantastic information. Thank you. I had a question. Been so interested about multiple pathways, and you were talking about the students who had graduated from BOCES in their various areas of expertise. And I was wondering if you knew what
the mic.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could tell us the areas that our BOCES graduates focused in.
I recall one was cosmetology,
Wow.
one was construction and plumbing,
Nice.
I believe one was culinary, the other one is escaping me, but I think it was one of like a pre-engineering, a science-based program. But I can send that to you for sure.
It's just interesting to see the different options that are out there. And do we have more students in the pipeline within the BOCES program?
Relatively staying about the same.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
My second question is, I'm in higher ed, and then talking to some of my higher ed colleagues, they talked about how a lot of their institutions this year accepted the same number of students per se, but then took more students off their wait list, or then did this like, oh, you're not accepted for the fall, but you're accepted for the spring. And I was just wondering if you had seen those trends as well.
I have, not so much the deferred part. We didn't get many students deferred, but yes, it seems that they are accepting off of different ED to the wait list, the regular enrollment. So yes, I have seen that.
Huh. Jody, of course.
So I also want to thank you. I thought this was a great presentation. It's one of the things as a board member, not just a board member, but I think it's so great to, can you hear me?
Yes.
To see and, no?
No, the mic's not working. Just lean into it. Just
Use two mics is the solution.
do a double mic.
I can give you this mic. This works pretty well.
David, is this better? I want to thank you. I think it's always so wonderful with all the work that for everybody that we do to kind of see like the outcomes and even to see the comparison between different years is great. Following up a little bit on what Catherine said, I like seeing that there are kids doing gap years because personally I feel like probably everybody should do a gap year. But that said, I think it's a great thing. But also, I think I say this both as a parent, but as someone who chaired a college admissions committee for many years. I find it really troubling that there were only 16 kids who were undecided. I find it very troubling that kids are pushed to say what they want to major in, and even that colleges do that. I mean, I think the point of going to college is to figure out, except for a few people who really, really know that they want to do research and blah, 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 or whatever, or maybe kids even who go through BOCES who are clear about what they want to do, and that kids feel so pressured to have to do that or say that they know that or get, and they feel the pressure, or they go to school like, I don't think I really do want to do it, and it's like, well, you don't have to. But I think it's sad that there's that pressure that at that age people should supposedly know what they want to do. And I know that's not something we do, but I just have to register it as really...
Sure, I don't disagree, and I think in part of amping up the career exploration, it's important that we're noting that, hey, what you feel today may not be what you feel tomorrow. I'm a career changer myself, so I think we can get anecdotal about that and talk the kids through real world. But thank you for bringing that up. Yes.
Well, I actually feel that way even about early decision, that what you feel today and you apply to in October may not be at all kind of representative of who you are come April and what you might have decided to do, even though kids today so get pushed into early decision, early action.
And I think that's why I wanted to point out the withdrawal number, because it does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just piggyback on your point also? That's why I'm interested when you bring up the idea of career development or helping kids see pathways, even if it's not the pathway they're going to choose. Because apart from the high cost of education, when children change majors, when they waste time, when they don't take something they need to, that's cost that adds up as well. So I'm happy to see that we're making an effort to guide students. Again, even if they remain undecided, it's an important aspect. So I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah. Jeannie, sure.
I wanted to share with you, I know that you're creating a spreadsheet, but in special education this year, our indicators are indicators 13 and 14, having to do with transition and post-school outcomes. So our paths are crossing.
You're speaking my language, Jean.
Our paths are crossing, so perhaps we can collaborate on some of that. But my focus would be simply on those with IEPs, students with IEPs. Yeah.
Hello. I was going to bring that up as well. Maybe next year, if you do this presentation, it would be great to know what services are offered specifically for high school juniors and seniors who have IEPs. And I'm just interested to know what colleges are supporting them, what colleges have the adult services offered in a strong way. Just more data around.
Absolutely. That's
high schoolers
something
with
last year
IEPs.
that I sat with SEPTA, and we did a college post-secondary night for students with IEPs. So I can bring some of that information, because it is something that we do, and I think we're doing in April. Yes, we are. We're thinking about doing that in April this year. So.
Okay.
That was a comment that is my mic working?
We're all paranoid.
regarding where the kids are landing.
I can go back to that.
Yeah, sure. So whether they're hitting you pull it up.
Oh, did I pass it?
No, it was at the beginning. No, the breakdown of where they landed 2-year, 4-year, what types of colleges.
Yeah.
Do we keep going?
There.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we get more granular in this data in terms of students who have IEPs, where do they land? Students that are chronically absent, where do they land? Students who receive suspensions, where do they land? So we can understand the needs that we can give those students as well, just to see where they're going and if they're actually getting the opportunities that should be awarded to them.
Making that note. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I was just, first off, this is an amazing report, and I'm floored by the fact that you got all of the students to respond to this, apparently, which I think is amazing.
Most, yeah.
Yeah.
For the applications, yes. That's all data that we take from Naviance. In terms of the majors, about 108 we were able to grab.
So I guess my question is, given the cost of education and what you pointed out, and understanding that students in the future might be considering alternatives to a traditional 4-year, 2-year college, I mean, how does this affect, and maybe this is a question for the group at large, but how does this affect the way that we approach our curriculum here in Hastings, or how we're teaching our kids, or even changing our curriculum to accommodate for kind of that maybe national trend or shift?
I think with the change to the Portrait of a Graduate and the New York Inspires program, we will be diving into that and seeing how that breaks down in terms of the graduation requirements and what that learning will look like. I know Melissa and I are partnering on that. I'm part of the New York Inspires collaboration, so we will be looking at that, as that is coming. It's coming in the next school year. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And you're going to get into the high school profile, if I could maybe summarize a little bit. So the high school profile, there are colleges that know Westchester very well, know Hastings very well, and as we've seen in a couple of years, there are also lots of colleges that the kids go to that are far from Hastings, far from New York, and the high school profile is essentially contains the essential information about what our school is, what it offers. It helps a college admissions office that's not familiar with Hastings see, like, how many APs do we have, what level of rigor do we provide, what has the student taken advantage of, and gives them a sense of the school. And so it's a very important part.
All schools provide that.
Yeah, all schools, yes, that's true, all schools provide it, but it's a very important part of giving admissions officers that are not familiar with their school the correct information and a sense of the school. So that's my...
And when was this updated last?
Nobody knows.
This is a big deal. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's kind of monumental that it's been changed. And
Yeah, I mean, there were annual adjustments, but not this wholesale. Yeah, and so it's one of those early wins for the person at the mic standing up. Lori.
Yeah, so
Thank you. I'd like to point out, though, this is not me alone. Nothing is ever us alone. So this was a partnership with the PTSA, some of the building administrators, my counselors took a look at it, the board took a look at it. Catherine had some really insightful things. A lot of parents also who are English majors had some edits. So it my sister's an English teacher. I should have called her first. But so yes, this was a long time coming from what I understand. It has been updated. It would be awkward for me to go over there and click on that link, so I've given everyone a copy. It's kind of modeled off of Irvington's, so if it looks a little familiar in terms of format, but it's very much our information. So it just kind of is the school overview, our programs and opportunities for distinction. On the second page, this is grading information and facts and figures that pertain to the class of 24-25, which I just presented on, as well as a deep dive into our curriculum, what kind of honors and college and advancement AP courses we are offering, important notes for colleges to understand us, and the back page is the class of 25, where they were accepted, where they are attending. So this is a good snapshot for colleges. It has been made live in Naviance. It's also been made live on our website, so it is available to the masses to view.
yeah. So any other questions or comments for Lori? No?
Thank you.
Let me just do a kind of final thank you both to Melissa and Lori. This is a giant step forward. The entire Future Steps presentation, it's a gigantic step forward. And I say that with great compliments to, predecessor Jen, who first got us doing this. We call it Future Steps, not college, because we want to leave ourselves open, kind of to your question, David. We also have to be responsive to Hastings. Hastings is still a bit, we're an oasis, and we know that higher ed right now, and I have a professor to my right, this is a time as higher ed has never seen. And there's all kind of stresses that may ripple down in here. So Lori and I have talked about, while we're being responsive to a heavy four-year going village, that we may see some shifts in that. And then within the four-year, what does that mean? So I like the fact we show the range of schools. We talked about the leadership retreat. We talked about data and evidence. You now have a team. They are totally focused on data and evidence. This is an example of this. This went much deeper. The real hardcore statisticians might go, this is good, solid data and evidence, and it takes it much further. But it shows you what's now running through your entire leadership team. And it's not a gotcha set of data and evidence, but it's how we really understand where we are and what the kind of probing questions you as a board have brought. Future iterations, we can dig into that. Lori and I've talked, and Jean got into it a bit, and Melissa is as well. We got to really be paying attention early to course choices. You know, we got to be thinking, you know, it's overstated a bit how much 8th grade matters, but right around in there can be some decisions made as to what are my later options. And we have to think hard about that. And we have to, as hard as we've been working to give guidance, we've got to do that a bit better. I think we have too many students who hit a decision point in high school and they go, oh my goodness, really? And you can't turn back the clock. So we're working on that. Last thing is, I think in the survey information of the currently in college students, out of that we may be able to tease what's called a persistence rate, which would be very powerful. I have argued for most of my career that no numbers really explain education. I think there's one number for a district like this that might get close, and that is, what is that persistence get out of college rate with a degree within 6 years? It's usually a sub 50%. And I have to speak. Western Connecticut, we had it up in the high 80s. Westport was in the 70s. That started to be a number that you kind of go, huh. And if you get to that choice list, then you're saying, what's that best match? And if you're truly a 4-year college-going village, are we setting students up to do well? They may shift a bit. That's why that 6-year marker, it's no longer a 4-year marker. But are they getting through and getting that degree for all of that investment? So if we can start to tease that out, that would be great. But full circle, Lori, thank you. Melissa, thank you. This is a giant step forward.
Yeah, thank you both. Thank you. Moving on, we're going to open up for public comment. Melissa DeValera will call it out, and please observe a 3-minute rule. Good evening.
I'm at that awkward stage where now I can't see you, but if I
Me neither.
on, I can no longer see you.
Oh, just grab the mic, Jen.
We're with you at that stage.
Yeah, we're with you at that stage.
Yeah, I'm going to. Okay, Jennifer Destin, 140 Fairmont Avenue. Having a soon-to-be high school junior, I am very much in that place where you tend to look back and reflect on all that has gone into making your child an amazing and capable adult, young adult. And I think because of the many challenges and obstacles that kindergarten Nora faced, to me, junior year Nora feels nothing short of magical. From small classes and not reading in 4th grade, to A-push and honors ELA by 11th. It just feels magical. But if I'm really thinking about it, it wasn't magic by any means. It was hard work. Nora put in hours more work and effort, and still does. But it was also hard work as a parent, because while I do love my community and have been impressed by many of the individual educators in our district, as a system, it's really hard to get things done. I think it would surprise many of you the amount of hours that I spend on a weekly basis pushing to get Nora and the things she needs in this district. So Nora works hard and I work hard, but I know as I look back that all of her work and my work would still not have been enough given the systemic challenges that exist in Hastings around special education if it wasn't for people within the system, sorry, it's hard for me to scroll and do this, that I, and as she grew older, Nora, could have open, honest, direct, and collaborative conversations with us. And for us, that person was Tesfa Stewart. Because it doesn't matter how many calls you make or how many emails you write or even how many times you stand up here in front of the Board of Ed. None of it matters unless someone's hearing you, thinking about the issue, and trying to solve it, not just for you, but for the system. And for our family, many times over, many, many times over, when we thought we were going to have to leave over an issue, he was the one that made it so we could say. In one way, Nora and I are lucky. We had his partnership and support through her formative years. She has a skill set to advocate for herself. I'm comfortable backing her up when need be. But without a person like Tesfa, she would not have been able to achieve here what she has achieved. And I mean she would have achieved it, but we would have had to have gone somewhere else for her to achieve it. We've heard a lot about special education as we went for this bond, about building the spaces and places for kids with IEPs to thrive and achieve. I hope that those discussions continue, but about realizing the potential of all the wonderful students we have in this district. Many years ago, the Board of Ed had a special education committee that had special ed, administration, it had building admin, it had SEPTA, it had a board member, and we had important discussions on how to best optimize the system for every student. And perhaps at this very pivotal moment, we should do so again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Hello.
I have to say my address? Is that how we do it?
No, I don't think you do it.
I don't think you have to.
Okay, well, I'm Amanda Capillis, and I'm a resident of Hastings. And I come to speak to you tonight as a parent in this community who has a child with an IEP, someone who I've been advocating for since preschool. What I have learned on this journey is that, unfortunately, not much has changed. I find myself constantly arguing the same frustrating points that should be absolutely clear to us by now. In education, children thrive when they have someone who truly believes in them. Too often, special education students are put in a box and seen only for the services they require, rather than the incredible potential they possess. While some educators and leaders will say that they believe in your child, actions speak louder than words. More often, I see head shaking and a focus on the minimum of compliance versus seeing the actual potential for my child. We had an administrator like this who listened and tried to help. We do not now. Growing special education is not just important, it is a right for my child and for all children. It is not about keeping the status quo. Growth requires innovators, people who think outside the box, such as many of our special education students do. And it also requires boots on the ground, teachers and administrators who truly understand special education. Yes, compliance matters, but it is so much more than just that. And to be also very clear, special education is not just a student with IEP. It's students with 504s, students who need building services. It really affects all of us. The fact that I have to stand here tonight and say this, because so many years our voices have not been heard, makes my heart sink. I was looking at a letter from a parent who sent me notes from a special ed meeting from 2015. The concerns listed and responses from the school are exactly the same today. It is the same concerns that I was about to voice. Nothing has changed. How does this happen? So our org chart is, I go to my case manager to assistant principal to principal, and then to what used to be TESFA, and then to our assistant supers, or super. But now we have lost that connection. And what happens now is in the hands of those who make decisions. It is now time to actually create the organization and the structure that really will make the difference. More than anything, I would love to go to school and trust the systems that are in place for me, for my student, and just be a parent. To trust that I can send my kid to school and know that it is together enough that I don't have to constantly be a part of an organization that is constantly advocating for my child. I would love to just... Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.
Hi. My name's Sandra. I don't have anything prepared. I am a parent. I'm a resident in Hastings. I'm a parent of 3 children with special education needs. One is a senior, one is now a 6th grader. And I'm tired. And I would like to echo what Amanda's saying. I do full-time advocacy work for my children, is what I do. And I feel like we can do better and should do better. And I would like to...
Mic drop.
I would like to offer a reframe. I think we're on the same page as to what was being said about we're all general education learners. The reframe I'd like to offer is that perhaps we're all special education learners. And why I say that is even if you do not rise to the need or have a disability of sorts as identified by a law, we all have ways that we learn. We're kinesthetic learners, we're auditory learners, we're visual learners. So when we serve all of our abilities to understand, we really do, we float all boats. And I feel like my children are thriving in their own ways, and they will because they come from a strong family and are in a beautiful community with a lot of great people. They'll be fine. I would like some more rest. But the other thing I would like to say is I would love to have a clearer path, and I'm hopeful with some of the things I've heard tonight, of who the case managers are. I've been in this system for a while, and I'm active. And the fact that I heard stuff tonight that is not what I've heard before is frustrating, like irritating. So that is something I really hope, that clear path of communication and a point of contact, I want that delivered. I want it delivered. The other thing is I would love for the case managers to think proactively about my children. One of my kids with an auditory processing disorder, I would have loved to know that there was something called language other than English, and that be an exception so that our GPA isn't pulled down from what it should be to what it is. So there are things proactively that I think we need to know. And I love the idea of career counseling. Perhaps, too, we can think more broadly than just careers and the lifestyles that our children might want, because some of our children in this village might have unrealistic expectations. Just putting it out there. So what lifestyle choices they would like to live and what career that would necessitate could be an interesting expansion of our path forward. Also, as a dual citizen, I'd like to just prop up Canada. Also a great place to go to university. And I did notice some people going there, and it even is more affordable for Americans. So just putting it out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Please know that I'm very grateful for all of your service.
Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Oh, Louis.
Without a seat, no seat.
No, you can go straight up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave. Good, how's it going?
Good evening.
Good evening, Dave Skolnick, 47 Hillside. The first thing, I actually have more written than I usually do when I speak. But the first thing is I would love if you would be, especially when there aren't that many people coming up to speak, a little flexible with the 3-minute. I've seen you do it in the past, and I find it, since I go to a lot of the village meetings, it's extremely onerous, even when I do have something to say. I wanted to thank Melissa Dilabara, all right, close, for getting back to me. I had emailed her, and she's always gotten back. Usually it's because I'm at home trying to hear, and I can't hear. This time I was having a lot of trouble. I wouldn't have been here if I had been able to log in. But you changed the format. It's new.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And that little detail forces you to have to deal with me in person.
We'll change it back.
Yes, okay. But it would definitely be, the word prosaic comes to mind, because what I'm expressing to you is supposed to give you a little bit of a rest from everything you've been dealing with up till now and what you're going to be dealing with after. But it's all the minutia that I get obsessed with. So there's this whole, and as Alex knows, I communicated with him, there's a whole section of my concerns about communication and whether going into this year you can do things better. And it's as simple as practicing a little more with the microphones. I'm not sure why we're down. There must be a reason why we're missing if we don't have a board that's big enough to accommodate all the mics. But it takes some training. It takes some time to actually figure out how to use it. And the problem is that we're, on the one hand, we're streaming. And so the room often is a completely different environment for sound. And I've experienced this, and I deal with this at all the boards, trustees, all of those meetings. Also, to pay attention to the fact that when the fan went off, it was still much easier to hear, even in this open space. So there's that. Share my sound training. It would be, I know this is going to be sound a little silly, but it might be worth spending, on your next retreat, a little time just practicing, understanding what it's like on the other end for when you're talking, because a lot of times you can hear each other, but it doesn't get out. I actually read the superintendent's letter about the distraction-free. I think that's the title of it. I'm concerned about a lot of issues, and let's be clear. I'm not a parent anymore, so it's not directly personal, but I'm concerned because I'm seeing a lot of potential issues, not the least of which is it's unclear how much this mandate is going to cost us, both in terms of the enforcement. The enforcement is going to be vague. I mean, there are so many possible exceptions to this process that it just feels, and you'll talk about it more at some point, it feels like it's going to take a lot more energy and it's a lot more fraught, potentially fraught, than at first it appears. And one of the things is, as much support as you had of the students for the bond, I have no idea what they're really thinking about something that's going to be as fundamentally, psychologically jarring to be suddenly without these phones. So it's something I would really look to have you discuss more. Safety outside the building. I live across the street. I would really appreciate, even if I could get to you the details. I'm the one who's always bothering the village to fix holes and things that I see as safety issues. But I would love to be able to bring some aspect of your building into it, of you. I was concerned in the takeaways. Oh, she's gone now. In the document, there was one little number 4, I guess, that said AI tools for drafting essays, and it gave me a chill because everybody's falling all over themselves trying to get with AI at this point, or not be completely left behind.
Excuse me, Mr. Skolnick, you've been way over the 3 minutes. I understand you wanted a little more time, but it's not fair for the other community members that did stick to the 3 minutes.
You would have wanted to speak
Dave, if you would like, if you can, if you have comments, you can, if they're longer, you can email them. We do read it.
Well, all right, then the rest of the things, then I will...
Just email.
I will send you.
Thank you.
Okay, I will respond. I always respond to you.
I know.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alex,
Thank you.
I just want to say that, can you hear me? Yes. I've been getting several texts from people saying the live stream was cut off. Okay. New company.
Yeah, so Local Live was purchased, I think, by CBS or something, or by NBC. So everything, I don't know what they did on their back end, but things have changed.
Right, but why would it cut out right in the middle?
They didn't realize it could be in.
So NBC, or whatever, whoever runs the back end has the meeting currently on a time limit. We have to restart it. It is being recorded, yeah.
So we may need to put something out just so that people understand that's what happened and that we're looking into it.
Oh, okay. So even if that cuts out, we always have a secondary backup, which that would be on the YouTube channel. Yes. Okay. Thank you. It's good to know. I mean, that is something we have to figure out for sure. The audio has been an issue. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I was just going to say I really appreciate the public comment and the really thoughtful nature of the many SEPTA representatives that came tonight. And I think there were so many interesting ideas raised, and especially this idea of a diversity committee. I don't know what that looks like, but it's something that the board can continue to discuss.
Okay. I'll also just note regarding, because the question came up, regarding the cost of the pouches. We had it was $11,000 cost or $10,000 cost, but $8,000 of that did come from New York State, so they did provide us with the bulk of the funds.
It was a funded mandate.
It was the very rare and unusual funded mandate from New York
I
State.
would say that
Partially.
it's partially funded.
Oh,
because
partially
there
funded,
is
right.
a lot of personnel that now had to be hired to help with
Facilitate.
the enforcement of it.
Yeah.
So I would say that it's an unfunded mandate.
Yeah, part
No,
of
it
it.
is. I mean, it really
That's
is,
true. But
because it's
but
not
these
funded.
issues, these
Yeah.
are definitely issues that we in the technology committee. These are things that we will look at, get into, figure out as
Hire
well.
many people to assist in this.
Yeah. So, but it is a law, so we did have to make a move on it. But thank you all very much. Moving on.
Can I,
I'm sorry, Teresa.
thank you for the suggestion of the Special Education Committee. I think we really should discuss this. I elect myself to be on the committee. I'm very passionate about this. And I think it would be, we're in a very crucial moment. And why not? Honestly, why not have more communication, listen to stakeholders more, maybe even a student or two, a high schooler. I think it could be very valuable for our district. And I know Sandra has left, but I do love the idea that we are sharing the expression with the students potentially that we are all special education students. Perhaps we can think about this because it's still there's still a stigma in school if you are a child with an IEP. You get called SPED, you feel dumb, and you go to the room where the quote-unquote SPED kids go. And it can not only inform guidance, and it could really not just be something gimmicky, but could really shift some minds if we think about the naming and the titles and the labeling and what we can do with that.
Thank you. Dave?
Yeah. In regards to the three parents that spoke today, like a common theme that I heard was the amount of advocacy they have to do and the exhaustion that comes with it. And everything that you said, Jean, earlier about the three pillars or the three areas that you were going to focus on, I think if those are implemented properly, which I have all faith that you're going to do, it's really going to help our parents that they don't have to be the ones doing all the advocacy for their children, that they can advocate with you for the services that their kids deserve, and how that also bleeds in the education of our last SEPTA parent that spoke about an area that their child had and people didn't know what that was. So that the professional development piece bleeding also into our gen ed teachers so that they understand how to notice and identify different areas so that they can speak to parents as well. So we're so glad to have you, and thank you so much for sharing what you shared today.
Yeah, it's a lovely comment. Thank you. Maureen?
Just one thing to add, which is sort of a chart that outlines who to go to and kind of that escalation, because it sounds like it's almost like a flow process. I think would be very helpful, but we are confident, Jean, that you will, address your priorities and have lots of support from the community. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Jody, you had something?
I just want to go back to the idea of the case manager, which we heard tonight that parents didn't even really know that their child has a case manager, and I didn't know it as a parent. And it would be, I'm just giving a suggestion, wonderful to receive an email from your child's case manager in the beginning of the year that says, "I am your child's case manager. Please reach out to me. I'm here for you and your family."
That's the plan.
Yeah.
We're working on that, for sure.
And some of it's underscoring what's already there, because line 3 and 4 in this for 4 years have had that exact sequence. So now it's making sure that we're following up, that it actually happens, because it says here, if you have an issue, you reach out, special ed, to your teacher or case manager. If that's going nowhere, you go to your assistant principal and principal. We have to make sure that's working. If that's not working, then you go to your assistant director, and then you come up. So we've been laying that flow chart out, and within Special Ed 504, we have to lean in to get that to work better, I think. But we already been laying that out for families, and we just have to underscore it. And it starts from going inside out, meaning from the professionals have to be reaching out, underscoring.
Right, the proactivity
that.
of...
Right, it's got to now work. We got to work from the inside out and make it real.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. Good. Moving on to business items. Are there any questions or comments regarding business items 1 through 14? Is there a motion to...
13.
Just so, yeah, I was going to say on the printed agenda, we one of the last resolutions that was added, which when I noticed when I opened Board Docs, it wasn't on there because we just got it today. We are, it's related to the free program now being offered at Hillside School. It required us to go out for another competitive bid, which literally we had to turn around in 2 weeks' time, just based upon like approval from the state of having a program. All that to be said, we just got the recommendation at like 3 o'clock today. But
which one?
So
Wait,
Governor Hochul is part of her state budget. So number 14 is a recommendation to award a contract
It's
to.
not in the printed version.
Correct.
It's just on
Because
mine.
what occurred is we got the bid analysis done and review from legal. I mean, we literally just opened the bids, but there was some back and forth and just review of the bids. And again, this is just within the last few days. I just received today the recommendation from the consultant that assists the district in the award and entering the program. And I did receive it, and then I had forwarded it to my assistant, but she didn't add it to the agenda. And when I opened it up, I noticed it wasn't on. So then Melissa De Libera, during the meeting, that's why she and I were going back and forth, added it. All that to be said, it has to be awarded tonight, or we don't have a cafeteria.
Right. So this is
in
a
this
food service.
building
This is a
opening
food
on
service
Tuesday.
contract. We had been using. I can use.
Well,
their
we still
names.
have Chartwells at the middle school, high school. You know, I mean, ideally, we would have had one food service company. I mean, this is an extremely not, ideal situation that now we'll have to work with two food service companies. And it really had to do because food service in New York State is competitive bid, and it's low bidder. Whitson's, which the district has worked with before, won the bid, and it's a very long bid that has to be reviewed and analyzed and go through a legal process. We finally finished that process today. We got the recommendation, and that's what the board has to approve tonight. And again, this is related to now, I don't even know, we had a staff on hand. I actually during the meeting I've been emailing back and forth with the food service company because the staff that existed yesterday in this building now will be replaced by a new food service staff. But again, this is all necessary if we wanted to participate in the free program here at Hillside.
So this is essentially a food service contract for Hillside based upon the bid analysis because, as Maureen pointed out, it's a competitive bid, this particular thing, so we are obligated to go with the low-cost provider there. So we're going to have Chartwells at Farragut
school,
and high school, and Whitson's providing service here. And we need to, we're voting it, it's timely because we have to get up and running so they can provide food next week.
Yes, and staffing.
Any other questions or comments from business items 1 through 14? Is there a motion to approve business items 1 through 14? You have a question?
No.
Okay. Is there a second?
Moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Moving on to placement services for CSE and CPSC. Are there any questions or comments regarding our placement and services for CSE and CPSC? Is there a motion to approve our placement and services for CSE and CPSC?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Moving on to personnel as a consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments regarding our appointments, our amendments, or our resignations? No? Is there a motion to approve our personnel consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to minutes. These would have been from July 17th. Are there any questions or comments regarding the minutes? Is there a motion to approve our minutes from the July 17th meeting? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. This is an FYI on a planned baseball team spring break trip to Disneyland. Are we going to talk about this, or is anybody?
The policy, which was updated 2 years ago, adopted as the superintendent deciding, and then the board gets an FYI on it. It's quite a thorough presentation, lots of advance warning here, because one of the main questions the board has historically raised with any of these trips, be they domestic, or this will be the first domestic in a while, but international, is the cost. But there's quite a plan here to try and mitigate that cost for the individual students, and there's lots of lead time. I was pleased. It was actually early summer approach with the real energy coming from who will be the new baseball coach, Scott Semple, who teaches in another district, but last year did a great job, and we think this will be a very important opportunity for the student athletes, and getting out early on this is a positive. So it's very well organized, very well planned. It aligns with the policy. It's key there's a third party here who would manage it and work with it. Also key, and here's the language, if for some reason the trip is canceled or stopped, the burden of that money is on the families, not the district. That's a key part of the policy. So I did approve it. I think it's a good one, and it's here as an FYI for you. A little different cover memo format, just to kind of give you some summary and analysis there.
I'd also like to point out in the planning of the trip that, and thank the Hastings boosters for providing financial support for students to go on the trip where necessary. So, any questions or comments? In FYI, we're not voting on it, but yeah, sure.
So I apologize that I didn't read the information about the trip. But Bill, could you just talk about why this would be a good thing to do?
Well, I think at a number of levels, I think this opportunity allows these student athletes to have a bonding experience, go off and compete against teams from other regions, and if you will, a sort of friendly way, have a chance to, see what other teams are doing, have that connections amongst themselves. This tends to work very, very well when it's well managed and led, which this one will be. There's a required number of chaperones and all the rest. And it's giving the families the opportunity to do this, and that, because they will bear the burden and the cost on it. I think, be it music, theater, world language, athletics, these opportunities for students to travel together and in a formal, structured way, not just to wander around, but, is a positive. And I think that for a lot of these, students, it'll be, if it's done well, and I'm confident it will be, it'll be something they carry as a big memory for a long time. And indeed, Coach Stanfield himself, in doing this, remembers from his high school days, this kind of experience, to get to travel with the teammates, with the coaches, the adults, compete against teams you're not going to normally compete against. Is a good experience. If we're something the district were paying for, we'd be in a very different discussion. But it's within the policy. They're lining up with that, and families and others will have to, bear that that burden. But again, I would stretch the benefits of this again. Be it a band trip, an orchestra trip. If they were to come forward, and they have historically here, we haven't done an athletic trip in a while. And then same with the international trips. There's been world language has been very active now. I think in the last 3 years, it's 4 trips, Melissa, that have gone out, something, or maybe 5.
4.
4, and those are tied in that case to the language that they're studying.
Spanish, 2 in Spanish, 2 in French.
So I don't know if that's helpful.
It's helpful.
And just to confirm, you said it, but the cost is totally borne by the families or the boosters, but not by the district at all.
Oh, this is no. All of these trips, the cost is on the families or others, and that has always raised an issue because it's not a small number.
No. Right.
And then it's at least providing that opportunity for them to try and raise the money, secure the chance for a family that may not necessarily be able to afford this, that they still may have the opportunity.
And then this is fantastic, and I can't think of my daughter. I can't help but to think of my daughter who plays field hockey and other children who play softball. How does this come to pass? Because it's exciting that baseball has this phenomenal opportunity. Like, how does this happen for other teams as well?
I think it's the entrepreneurial spirit of the coaches working then with the athletic director. If we've had to manage it within the world language department because there was an exciting
burst. We have to establish a cycle.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe this will be the beginning of a burst.
But to be honest with you, when my son who's not that old, he went on this baseball trip. They had historically done this trip.
So spring training.
When my son
time,
Justin went twice when he
Maureen,
played
that's
baseball
all.
for the high
It's a
school.
bringing back something
It's actually
that had been
occurred
here
for
before.
years, yeah. It just hasn't happened for now.
And was it valuable?
Yeah, he loved it. They didn't go to Disney, though. They went to North Carolina one year and South Carolina another year.
I mean, the other thing is, as fine as our
Like,
student
there's
athletes
lots
are, very few are going to play in college. And so this becomes sort of a penultimate team experience for them, and every single college team will go off in some kind of journey or jaunt. And sorry, my son's a full-time head college soccer coach right now, and they took a journey to Pennsylvania. But it was a bonding experience, so that it's a chance to give that full opportunity. But if we suddenly had 5, 6 teams wanting to do it, we would have to handle a bit like world language. We'd have to say, we can't, send, quote unquote, send because it's their money, but send 5 out in a year.
Yeah.
So.
I have a couple of questions. The amount of staff that's going on this trip, is that it said 6 staff members are going with students?
Yeah, per policy.
And 1 administrator? That's per policy?
Yeah, we have a ratio.
It doesn't have that here.
Yeah, Melissa, do you want to speak to that? That's part of the cost.
There's not a flat number of how many chaperones. There's discretion there based on where they're going and what's reasonable. So, for example, on the Merida, Mexico trip, there were less chaperones needed because they were staying in one place and they were in a school. Whereas when we went to Paris and other areas of France, there was a lot of movement. You had to make sure students were in and out of places, that everyone was accounted for. It required a slightly lower ratio in terms of having more staff to students, essentially. The policy is silent on having, if I'm remembering it correctly, it's silent on an administrator, but that's part of our building level protocols. So they can choose whomever is appropriate. So, for example, if someone speaks the language, that might make sense to ask that particular administrator. But there's discretion around that. But we do have internal protocols that live alongside the policy to make sure that we're considering what's developmentally appropriate, how many people do we need. There does have to be an administrator on the trip, but who that administrator is, there's some flexibility, and that's based on who's organizing the trip. It's not that the administrators are self-selecting to do that. I hope that answers your question. It's not a firm number in terms of ratio.
It's 12 students, 6 administrators, and 1...
No, not 6 administrators. We have 1 administrator.
6 staff members and 1 administrator?
I'm not sure what this one was.
Yeah,
Did it say 12 students?
This one says 4 adult coaches, 1 administrator.
But in another part of the document it says 6.
Yeah, no, I know. There's 3 different conflicts.
And then I don't recall the dates. Is this during instructional
Yeah.
time?
No.
It's over spring break.
No,
Yes.
we wouldn't allow it if it was on instructional time. It has to be on
That's
the
in the
break.
policy.
That's in the
Yeah.
policy.
And the other thing we're doing is we're not allowing parents to be chaperones. Other districts do that, which we don't agree with that at all. So that's out. And also, one of the discussions we've had with both the AD and coach is families may be traveling, but there's got to be, in a sense, a firewall there in terms of any interactions that has to be managed, which I'm optimistic that will happen well.
Do teaching staff that attends trips that are outside their contractual time, do they get paid?
They do not,
They
and
do
that's
not.
also
Just
in the
the
policy.
trip is the payment.
The trip is the payment.
That's correct.
Okay.
and they are definitely working, and it's in the policy that they're not paid for that time.
And then board members have to go and chaperone.
No, I've already done
change this policy.
No, thank
Depends on
you.
where it is. And I think my last comment is, I think this is a great trip. I really do. But I would like to see an opportunity for our female students to have a trip like this as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Maybe
I think we
that
should
could
organize
be,
one.
we can't do 5 teams. I'm thinking of equity, but maybe we could say 1 female team, 1 male team
Yeah, I
a
can
year.
bring it up with Drew and see. Again, this is,
Take somebody to organize it.
yeah,
Right.
there's an optional aspect to this, which is if you don't have someone really driven to do it, it's not going to happen
Right, there's a
well.
booster component to it.
Right, but an athletic director can encourage.
Well, no, I know
Yeah,
that,
they can.
but they can encourage it, but again,
Right.
this is as you can understand, it's a gigantic undertaking
Yeah.
in time that so there are a number of educators very tired who said, love the idea, but don't want to roll up my sleeves on this one. In world language, you've had several who, Steve Lopez has been a real driver on, Alan Driscoll's been a real driver on, and others have been. So I'm happy and will definitely say to Drew, one, we got to tighten up the document, because I didn't read every single word of it. We can fix that. I mean, I read everything enough, but I didn't catch those minor count issues. I'm glad you're reading it that closely. But say, let's think about, because there's some highly energetic entrepreneurial coaches, and on the female side, to see where there might be a similar opportunity.
And maybe when they see that this has happened and gone forward, it's inspiring to, oh, we should do something like that as well.
I remember my other question. When it comes to trips, does there have to be an instructional focus based on the policy, or a trip like this is permitted because there doesn't need to be an instructional focus?
Well, it ties to the team purpose. I mean, if they're just going down there to run, I don't understand flip, but if they're just going to run around with Mickey Mouse, we wouldn't let them happen. But since it's a baseball trip tied to the baseball team, but the others, yeah, so the world language trips were immersive language experiences, and there were cultural elements to it. And the third party there was setting up, and Melissa chaperoned at least, one of those or 2? You did 2, right? Yeah, so you could actually speak to it better. But Dave, it's a great question, because we do care. Is there an educational aspect to it?
Yeah.
And in this case, it's the athletic piece that lines up with
All the games they
sport.
have, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but there's no grade component to athletics, right, or graduation components to athletics, right? So it would be nice maybe if there was some interdisciplinary piece that goes along with these kids, like with some of their classes they're taking, in terms of writing assignments or other areas that they can use this time away to use that. It would be nice. But I just want to make sure there wasn't a policy that said that there had to be some grade level instructional focus to all school trips, like a language I get.
Yeah.
I mean, we do look at it in the larger context of the portrait. Some of the other write-ups of these have spoken to how they are supporting aspects of the portrait. So we do try and have it an educational
Yeah.
element.
I mean, it's always nice to cover those pieces, right?
Yeah. So, okay.
All right.
But I'll definitely follow up on the female team side of this for the future.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for the comments. Moving on to second public comment. We don't have a... Oh, yes, we do.
So,
of course.
Student Athlete Committee.
Just grab the mic, Bobby.
Oh, yeah. So, we are
Could you state your name, please?
This isn't really public comment. It's more just about the female trip. Softball wants to do a Binghamton tournament trip, and we're going to plan that for next year. So,
right on.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. Moving on to second public comment. Nobody's going to comment. Moving on to board comments.
Can I we skip past 10B?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's the agenda.
So,
I mean, Melissa DeLivers worked really hard to give a layout here that's clear. So at the top of the document, you'll see in a left box all of the running items, and in the right box, more running items. And then each particular meeting, we've only loaded in what we definitely know we have to do. And so you'll see for next meeting, and it's still a little up in the air, but we've moved the State of the District EOY update. That's the performance, moved it to the 9th. Melissa and I are still working on what's there relative to state data. I gave a long explanation in a memo you received from me this weekend. But just so you know, this year we try in each meeting look ahead a wee bit. So we don't have to dig into that now, but just so you know, And Dave is a new board member. I'm trying to get this all correct names. David, as a new board member, we're not locked into this. Certain things we are on it, but it just lets us plan out. I like to call it our course plan for the year with the board. So
Copy you.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a Tuesday, of course, and it's September 9th would be the next meeting, just FYI. And we'll look at the state of the district as the big presentation. School opening update, but then also state of the district, which is the end of the year.
Can I just make one comment? On October 7th, I'm not looking at the schedule. It calls for an executive session on that night. Only reason, the audit report, the auditors come here, but being they have to present all over Westchester, there's like a tight time frame in which they need to present. So if you're going to have an executive session on the 7th, you'd have to have it after the board, after the auditors present.
October 7th, because the auditors, they come and they do the road show with a bunch of different
because they
districts.
have to, like all schools are required to have audit presentations before October 15th. So, and most districts like ourselves have board meetings on similar nights. So they're pretty much like they leave here and go
I remember
up
last
the
time.
Hudson River, to
Well, let me use that as we usually done the executive sessions from 5 to 6. That doesn't work for all board members, though. This won't be a long topic, but we're trying to get a new early warning review system in as it relates to the tenure class.
Can you do it on the 22nd?
We could. Again, let me do the check-in, though, because if we're doing the audit report, would be starting at 6, Maureen?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we would have to be up by 6 so it could go on promptly by
Oh, yeah, I think this
6:10 or
but I guess
6:05.
it's a question to the board. When we go to schedule executive sessions, should we try and do them at 5 o'clock, allowing an hour before, or do we need to think about at the end of meetings, which I'm not thrilled about those ideas, because even now going on 8 o'clock, we're tired, and some of us have to be here tomorrow morning.
Yes.
So the question is, exec sessions, when do you want to hold those this year?
Maybe we need to talk to the trustees before we get anything firm.
Okay.
We'll figure that out. It's a question, but we'll figure it out.
Okay, we'll come back to it. But we will be very cautious of what Maureen's asked.
Yeah.
Or they may just have to happen after board meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, for that one.
Absolutely
We
not.
can move that to the 20th.
At 9 o'clock at night.
So right now, to keep it easy, so we get a decision made, we'll move the tenure one to the
10.
22nd.
Yeah.
Melissa even said you could arguably start a meeting, have the audit report, go into recess, have an
that's
executive
true.
session, and come back in.
Yeah,
I
just
think
interleave
Melissa
it like that.
We
That's,
would just have to do public comment before
Oh, that's right,
executive
correct,
session.
yes. So if you wanted to do it that way, that would allow for that as well,
It'll still push the meeting to 10 o'clock.
yeah.
potentially, yeah.
If it's an hour, hour and a half
Yeah.
exec session.
So why don't we move the topic on the 7th to the 22nd, because it's immaterial whether it's on that or the other, and we'll come back to the question of going forward where we put these exec sessions. Is that all right?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Opening up for Board of Education comments.
I just had one. The meeting minutes were for the 14th of July. That's
I
just.
said 17th, I guess. Yeah.
So I just
Sorry,
wanted to
thank
make
you.
that. And we did the walkthrough today, so I just wanted to give my compliments to the facilities team. The buildings looked great. The space looks fantastic. It's really great to see some of the changes and upgrades that have been happening. So my compliments to them.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was just going to say, I think today we heard from a lot of new members of our community, including the person next to me, but also Lori present, and it was really wonderful to have all their energy and ideas in this space and place.
Yeah, I agree. It's welcome. It feels like a new year, so in a very good way.
Dave, were you going to say something?
No, I didn't.
No, I just happen to stay really close to the mic. It's a really bad habit.
Just in case.
That being said, and just to comment on the public comment from before, and as the resident TV and film professional on this board, I would love to help anybody who wants to get better at speaking in a microphone. It's not so difficult, guys, but we're gonna get there. I promise.
I like the spirit.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm glad that we were able to have a board retreat today, and I think we need to communicate with Alex, I guess, about a time that we could schedule another to continue what we started to speak about. And one thing that we did also, we're working on our committees and committee assignments, and I think we're sort of well on our way to divvying up responsibilities among board members for committees and maybe thinking about other committees that we might want to have. I think that is really a conversation maybe between Alex and Bill and
I'll talk
his team.
to Hub and Spoke with everybody.
Yeah, to see what we want to do.
We'll get
But I
that
think it's
sorted
great
out.
that we're going to get going with committees, and some of the meeting times will be decided based on the people who are on the committee,
Yeah.
not decided ahead of time.
Yeah.
Can committee meetings be virtual? Like,
Yes, we've done that, I believe.
Yeah, we've been on virtual
I guess
for
so.
communications.
But they have to be during your work hours, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, functionally.
I mean, they don't have to be.
No, they don't have to
we
be.
prefer it. If,
Right. Right, because our work hours ends and we become available when
Yeah,
yours,
I
It's
think
a tricky situation.
Yeah, once we schedule them, I mean, the reality is we want the work to get done, and if we have to work a little later in the day, we'll do that.
Thanks.
But last year on communications, we did virtual.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, communications
That's
was
right.
at noon and we did it virtually.
right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's good to keep in mind. Cause
We could have a
helps
board
with
meeting
flexibility.
and then executive session.
and then all
committee
the committee meetings. Just one big night.
Okay.
Ooh.
As long as
All
we
right.
have chaperones.
Yes.
No more coffee at.
Yeah.
Too many ideas.
I definitely think the caffeine changed the nature of the meeting.
Yeah. Thank you all. Any other board comments? No? Is there a motion to adjourn our meeting? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.